spite of it. God loves you because God knows who He created you to be. See, God knows what makes you happy. God knows what brings joy to your soul. And understand that God loves you. See, too many of us think thoughts about ourselves because of the way we were raised, because of the way people treat us, because of the way people talk to us, because of circumstances in our life, because of mistakes that we've made. We don't think very highly of ourselves. Am I the only one? Some of you don't want to step out into ministry because you don't think you can do it. Because of the way you were brought up, or the way you were raised, or choices that you've made in your life. Listen, God knows those things, and God has still called you. Because you are not the you that you turned out to be. You are who you are when you become who God created you to be. Are you following me? Thirdly, God knows our speech. God knows everything we say, even when you whisper. Every vain or idle word that you speak, every good word that we speak, words that we utter in secret, He hears, even when no one else is around. God even knows the words that we don't speak, but we want to, whether they be good or evil, for even thoughts become words in God's ear. God knows every word we speak. But nobody else is around. God heard what you said about that brother. God heard what you said about that sister. Whether they be good or bad, God hears. God sees. God knows those words. God even hears you when you whisper. That can be encouraging or scary to some of us this morning. Those of us that whisper malice, that whisper backbiting words, whisper gossip, things like that, no, it's frightening to me. Because I know sometimes I'll whisper something in myself like, man. And then I have to think, man, God knows. God heard exactly what I said. And I have to fall before God and say, you know what, Lord, forgive me. Because I shouldn't think like that. But how often have we whispered something that we shouldn't have? How often have we said something that we shouldn't have? And not paid any attention to the fact that God knows what you said. Pastor, that sounds a lot like, what you said already about the thoughts. Well, they're not that far from it, because you can only think something for so long before it comes out of your mouth. You want to know what parents think? You want to know what parents say about people? Spend time with their kids. Spend time with their kids. Because kids will repeat what they hear their parents say. And the parents don't even know the kids were around. Listen, your walls aren't that big. Some of us don't even know how to whisper. Some of us in service over the worship team, I can hear when we whisper. Wow, keep it down. God knows what we say. God knows everything about us. But it's encouraging because even when you whisper your deepest, darkest fear and your most discouraging pain, God hears that. Maybe none of us will. Maybe you're not going to get the phone call that you're looking for from the brother or the sister. You may not get the word of encouragement that you want. Because maybe they don't hear your silent cry. But understand, God hears even your most silent cry from the depths of your soul. God hears it and God has an answer for it. But do you understand that? Jesus Himself said, whatsoever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatsoever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Every complaint that you make, God hears it. But so do other people around you. And I'm going to say it again, you've heard it 1,000 times. But that's why our unsaved family members don't want to come to our church. Regardless of what church it is. Because they hear you complain about your church. Oh, the church this and oh, the church that. And but what do they hear you say good about your God? What do they hear you say good about your church? What do they hear you say good about your brother or your sister in the Lord? They hear you complain about them all the time. But what do you say to encourage them? I don't want to go anything. If you tell me the movie's sorry and it's no good and it's boring and it's a waste of money, I'm not going to go watch the movie. How much more church? People already think church is boring. People already think you can't have a good time when you serve the Lord. People already think all you have to do. But what do they hear you say about your God? Or do you proclaim God's goodness like David does in the psalm here? David here is rejoicing in the fact that God knows all those things about him. David says, man, God, I know that I am truly protected in your arms because I know you see